Well, good evening, everyone. Hope you'll join me for a quick, or maybe not so quick, chat about life. I'm watching the sunset. Well, not quite yet, but I was just falling asleep on the couch. And when I woke up, I looked over, and my wife and my two boys were both fast asleep in the chair, and I thought, we could do a family nap. But I figure if I do that, then I'll be up too late. So I decided to get up and make this video. A few things that I've been wanting to talk about, and I just haven't been sure exactly, the ideas go through my head so rapidly, and it's difficult to express sometimes exactly what I mean. Excuse me. Shake off that tiredness. I've been really doing some heavy thinking the last couple of days about who we are as a species, and what we really are, and not in a spiritual realm or matter whatsoever. The reality, the down-to-earth reality of who we are, and what do we really want here, and what are we doing to ourselves, more along the lines of, and there's so many little points of this, like, I don't even know where to start, antibiotics. I was just watching this documentary earlier about antibiotics, and just how harmful they've been to society, and how in other countries, and like in Europe, they've banned antibiotics in animal feed completely, but in the U.S. that we're still far behind. We just don't care. It's not just antibiotics. I was thinking about everything, that the U.S., that our nation does, the country I live in, that makes us feel like, as citizens, that we're falling behind the rest of the world. We're well behind the rest of the world in many ways, but rather that, not that just that we've fallen behind. And as a huge nation, you should expect that, okay, people? Because I hear a lot of people out there who like to complain about the U.S. and say, oh, I live in Sweden and we do this and we do that. Well, Sweden is a much smaller country with a much less diverse population. This makes it easier to accommodate more people. I'm not going to say that it's easy in any nation, but my point being, with upwards close to 400 million people in this country, it's difficult, and it encompasses a vast landscape of different climates as well. So, and that's an important factor, because when I start thinking, what are we doing as a nation? Exactly, what are we? Does the U.S. even try anymore? Do we even care anymore? And I know that the people care, but is anything working for the people anymore? I wanted to talk for a minute about bringing down the dams, because I was watching this show about dams, and how many dams, like, for example, I think there's like 8,000 dams in Maine, the state of Maine alone. Or maybe it was 800 dams, sorry, I don't know. One or the other. Point being, there's a lot. 800 sounds more realistic, sorry. A lot of dams. All kinds of little tiny dams, big dams, in one state. Well, living here, on the Columbia River, which is where I live, where most Portlanders don't even really realize that Celilo Falls used to be part of the Columbia River. And any Native American knows about Celilo Falls. At least any Northwest Native knows about Celilo Falls. And it's a very shameful chapter in our history. We flooded out that land. Celilo Falls was the #1 fishing ground, I believe, in the entire western United States. And it was this series of waterfalls and rapids on the Columbia River, with which the Native Americans could go out on these plateaus, and built these walkways, and they'd go out and they could catch the salmon as they came up to spawn. When we built the dam, the Bonneville Dam just totally destroyed that. And all the dams on the Columbia need to come down. All the dams on the Snake River need to come down. And, when I say that, it's easy. I could see a few people might be like, wait a minute, you can't just take dams down. Well, yeah, you can. You really can't. If you do the research and you actually look into the dams and how many of them are really producing anything worthwhile, they had good intentions. You can't bring down all the dams. Some of them produce a major amount of hydroelectric power for a certain region. However, for example, all of the ones on the Snake River are government run. I saw a guy who filmed himself trying to boat through there, and they threatened to arrest him, told him to leave, even though it says on, on the government site that you should be able to pass through there. You just have to ask them to pass through. In other words, people, our rivers are impassable. You're not allowed to take a canoe down your own river in your own state, your own country, and to me that's a travesty, beyond a travesty. But more importantly, that's not even the focal issue at all. The people's inconvenience is nothing compared to what it's done to the salmon, and what it's done to the lands all around the world that have been cleared out in order for dams to be built. For example, I think it's the Yangtze River, if I'm not mistaken, it's called the Three Rivers Dam or the Three Gorges Dam in China. It's like the biggest dam in the world. They displaced thousands and thousands of people. They basically told them, you gotta leave. They didn't give them a choice. You're standing in the way of progress, and progress is what we want. And it just makes me sick. But the Columbia River, here's the thing, okay? You want to talk about dams for a minute? You just think, when people say, look, rivers are the lifeblood of the land, that's exactly what they are. And what happens when you have a blocked artery? That's all you have to know. That's all you have to think about. And this is a metaphor that can be carried to so many levels. But when you block a waterway, you're stagnating the flow of nature. You're damaging the potential for water supply usage, as well as many other things. We had good intentions back in the day when we thought we'd get some electricity and make a nice little reservoir that we can go surfing or whatever, skiing, water skiing on, all these water sports. And you see these old videos of these people doing, enjoying these brand new lakes that have formed. And here we are today. There are people who have been funding. For example, some people in Maine, they bought 3 dams. They got all this money together and they bought 3 dams and destroyed them. That's a step in the right direction. But many dams have been coming down, and this is just one little aspect. Dams, I mean, damn. No puns here, no puns. What have we done, to our world? Look at what we did during the Dust Bowl in the 40s. We thought that we had all this great farmland. We tilled it all up and destroyed all the topsoil, and it blew away in the wind, and we lost our crops. We're gonna have to learn how to do things better, people. I mean, we really are, and this means you and me. And I'm just as guilty as the next person of just going along with the life that I've been given and saying, well, I'm going to try to make some changes and try to vocalize how I feel about things. But is that enough? Is it really enough? I mean, I need to take more action, just like many other people. And if you feel you need to take action, then you do. That's just how it is. But one of the most difficult things for me is I don't have one passion driving me. For example, sometimes people are very passionate about nuclear power. Maybe they know somebody who died from radiation poisoning. Or maybe people are really impassioned about the forest because, they watched it be raped and they lost it. I'm just examples of what empowers people to get these motivation. And sometimes they just stand behind a cause because it feels right. But I guess I'm overwhelmed. There are too many different causes I could possibly, I wouldn't even know where to start. And at the same time, I want to see the world as a positive place. I don't want to sit here and pretend like it's a bad place to live, because it's not. It's our world. It's not good or bad. It's what you make it. It is what you make it. Everything is mental. I mean, yeah. I watched this. I don't know if I mentioned this in a different video or not, but I watched this video the other day. Or not, didn't watch a video. I read an article when I was waiting in the office at this appointment, and it was a Time Life article, and it was like, "You are what you think" is basically the premise of it. And they were saying how people who think positive age lasts. Period. I mean, that it has an actual cellular effect. And to some people that might be big science, big news, but to most people it's not. I think most people already know this. So anybody who you say, "Hey, guess what? You know, you can cause yourself to be sick, and you can cause yourself to be well." And most people that you say that to would be like, "I know. We know that." They may not know how it works, or they may have different degrees. Some people may use prayer, some people may use intention, some people may use chants. But everybody knows that focusing on a particular thing that you want resolved, let's say, you can cause these, manifestations in your life. And when it comes to health, if you think you're sick, you're getting sick. And if you think you're well, you're getting well. This is one thing that when I hear people say that they're getting sick from their environment, that they can feel for example, the chemtrails issue. People say that whenever the planes fly over, they can feel the burning, and they feel sick. Some people, and maybe in some cases this is true. That's maybe not the best example, but some people believe if they're around a certain person that they lose their energy or something like that. Maybe a spiritual or maybe a physical feeling. Maybe some people have that. What's that? Obsession with being sick. It's like a whatever. Anyway, people create their own realities. We all do. And if you think you're going to be sick, if you think you're getting sick, you're getting sick. If you think you're well, you're going to be a lot better off. I try to keep this in mind all the time, but you can't ignore things that are going to get you sick. You can't think I'm well and then, drink a bunch of Drano and be fine. That's obvious. So we all, there's a certain rationale there that's involved. To me, you got to use common sense. If there's such a thing as common sense, and sometimes I wonder. So anyway, I better leave it at that. And I'm going to leave you with some cluster flies. They're not really cluster flies, but they're these damn flies that like to hang out on my porch. It's probably the compost bin they came out of. Winged creatures, they're really amazing. Nature's set up some really amazing things out there. You've got animals of the ground, animals of the sky, animals of the subterranean realm. Take care, everybody.